Welcome to Alfalfa Pod. I wonder if people know we record 3 episodes at once. Do most people know that?
I think so.
Yeah?
You revealing how the sausage is made?
Sure. Why not? It's a good sausage.
Explains why the last one is such a weird sausage.
The last one? Oh, this episode?
Yeah.
I think it's a hell of a sausage, man. Also, I've never heard that. It's my favorite sausage. So yeah, we usually are on our 7th bottle of wine at this point. No, I'm kidding. Second or third.
Yeah.
And we're out. So we're about to place an order on Dry Farms Wine, which is our partner. And I think you guys should all know them. But basically, these guys source wines that are zero sugar, zero added sugar, all organic, designed for least amount of hangover.
Optimizing for hangover. For sure.
It's really hangover optimized wine, and it's all very, very good stuff. It was introduced to us by a community member who gifted us a box of this stuff. So check it out. We're ordering from them, and the more you guys buy, the more we'll drink, and the life episodes will be even more
who
fun.
introduced us?
That was a secret, Stephen.
That was a secret?
No longer is it a secret.
Wait. Why was
He
that
wanted to
secret?
be an anonymous donor.
He didn't want to get...
Oh, no.
Yeah, he just wanted to do
you're
it for
right.
not the
this-
credit.
I can't keep
No,
secrets.
this blew it. Should we edit that out?
I don't know. We had
know.
You could just go the long
It
beat.
was inevitable. It was inevitable. So don't tell Stephen your secrets, everyone.
Well, I usually just forget.
That's true.
It's one of the best qualities.
That's true. So we're doing something very different today.
Yeah, we had a bunch of catch-all topics that we really wanted to touch on, and so I think we're just gonna lump them all together in a popcorn style. Maybe move a little quicker through some of these topics. And
Yeah, it's we're really just testing a format, right?
He's gonna rapid fire some stuff.
Rapid fire some stuff. We're giving it 6-7 minutes each. Someone's going to open the topic, and we're going to do what we normally do, but we're going to hit more topics than usual.
Yeah. We went pretty deep last week, really deep. We were
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole, so we need to recharge our batteries a little bit.
yeah, and then we'll go back. We'll go back to that for sure.
next week, back down.
So, Steven, do you have the first prompt?
Oh, am I the first prompt? Oh,
I saw you on Twitter, and that's why
Yeah.
Wonder how long the awkward silence would have been.
Good
Steven
thing
started.
I'm super prepared for this. Oh, there are
Thanks
my
for your
notes.
undivided attention.
All right. Topic 21, a Chicago tech exec, I think Obama's former tech czar. Is that a real position?
What the hell are you talking about right now?
I'm introducing the topic.
That's not
Are
the
you?
topic.
That's
What
not the
in
topic?
hell are
Come
you
on.
talking about?
What do you mean?
A Chicago tech czar?
You guys, I
you have 35 seconds to do this. It's already 50 seconds
We're already,
in. What are
the
you
timer
doing?
is on.
let me finish the prompt before you'll jump down my throat.
Okay, so next topic.
Chicago tech executive publicly made a big deal about returning his Tesla, saying, "I don't want to drive around a MAGA hat."
All right.
Thank you.
Mea culpa. You're right.
Dude, that's a minute 10 gone.
Thank you. A minute.
CJ, I wonder why the minute 10's gone.
Okay. So what is your
That's a
question?
great intro. Is Elon hurting Tesla with his Twitter shenanigans, or is this actually good for the brand?
Well, I mean, Tesla is having a great year, right? I mean, by all financial metrics, right?
Well, the stock is down considerably.
except the stock price. But if you just look at the business, I mean, you like fundamental businesses, they are improving revenue,
We
profit.
haven't seen Q4 yet.
True, but it is improving. But you're right. Everything except the stock price.
But then
is-
again, every freaking stock is down.
right?
Every
So
growth tech
it was hard to
stock is
tease
down.
that out. But I did see that Elon had a quote. He said, "We'll make sure Tesla shareholders benefit from Twitter long term." Why else? Why would he mention that unless he feels it's kind of maybe Tesla shareholders getting the short end of the stick? Might be from the fact that they're using Tesla employees. Might be the fact that Tesla doesn't have a CEO right now. But he obviously is aware that that's possible.
Well, I just have a question. How would Tesla shareholders benefit from Twitter long term?
I mean, they're not. He's just obviously worried about it too.
It's like free marketing, maybe.
Drop
I mean,
some-
right now it's like free reverse marketing. Though.
Give them a bunch of Dogecoin?
Yeah. Like, what percentage of Tesla drivers do you think are lefty?
Well, I don't know.
I would say greater than 50%.
Oh, for sure. I would say it's greater than 70%. I bet it's about 70%.
So you think the environmental angle is the driver of Tesla sales? Because I think it's actually they have the best product on the market.
I've heard it's a good product. I don't own one. I've also heard it occasionally catches fire. I get a lot of mixed signals, but I think the prototypical Tesla guy is this sort of, Silicon Valley lefty type, and they seem to hate Elon right now. Like from me casually browsing Twitter, I feel like he is nuking sales in the short term. I do.
But by no doing of his own. It's simply
Really?
Yeah.
He's doing things.
So is Elon
he just
hurting
tweeted,
Tesla?
"My pronouns are ban Fauci." Like, you
Yeah,
think it's going to
exactly.
go over well with like his audience?
If Elon is hurting Tesla, it's because he simply has this platform now and this ownership of Twitter. If that action causes him to hurt another company that he owns, then it's all entirely politically motivated, like I mentioned on the last episode. Like nothing he's doing, he's not doing anything differently. He's in the same exact position he was in, except that he happens to now be the owner of Tesla.
He's breaking their
Excuse me, of Twitter.
toys. He's throwing their toys out. He's like, "Oh, you like these toys? Well, we're just going to throw these in the garbage, and now they're my toys."
What were we talking about before we started recording? It was the cycle, or how sentiments go through market cycles, and there's anxiety and then there's anger.
Yeah,
and maybe Tesla shareholders are just at the anger portion of the cycle, and they're directing it towards Papa Elon.
Could be, yeah. And that stock had its time in the sun for long enough, frankly. Like that, there was nothing, to your point, on fundamentals that justified the $1,000 share price.
And Elon secured the bag. He sold.
He did secure the bag. He's been really good at securing the bag.
Man, what we're learning is you should always sell when the sort of the powers that be sell.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon. That was a good one.
Ethereum Foundation,
Ethereum.
Fed.
Oh man, it's almost like we're idiots.
Yeah, like this actually was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Well, one way I do think he's hurting Tesla is by not being there. He is simply absent. He splits his time too much into too many different directions. It is impossible to be exceptional at everything. Right now, he's trying to be exceptional at Twitter and solve that problem. And you're not going to be exceptional at Tesla. You're not going to be exceptional at SpaceX if that's what you're trying to do. It's just physically impossible.
I don't tweet like 1/10 as much as this guy does, and I can barely tie my shoes. Like, I don't know how he's like supposedly.
Yeah, I
running
don't get it. He is
for-
superhuman in many ways. It's incredible. His work ethic is incredible. His ability to delegate is incredible. His ability to build teams is incredible.
That might be good, but maybe a lot of it's a facade.
Oh,
Well, I will say another data point is the NASA administrator asked SpaceX, is Elon's traipsing with Twitter going to hurt SpaceX? So not only did Tesla shareholders notice, but stakeholders of SpaceX had the same question. So
All right, so we agree. It's net negative.
I'm on board. Okay, I want to move on to the next topic. So we record every Wednesday night, and it usually goes pretty late. And so I don't, I'm not home during the evening on Wednesday nights, and I have a 95% probability I know what my girlfriend's doing, which is watching true crime, and I don't understand true crime. And so my question to you guys is, and I think you and Armand and I have talked about this in the past, is why do women love true crime so much?
So
What is this mystery?
Is it
secret
true?
affinity for murder.
Is it true that Erica and Yessie are both true crime aficionados?
I would say so.
Aficionadas, or
Yeah.
it's like all Mina wants to watch.
She
Amber,
sends me,
Ditto.
she sends me memes
yeah.
about how when boyfriends leave, the girlfriends just watch true crime, and like she knows it's a thing, and it's a.
Can I even go a step further? Like I've brought up like blockbuster movies that are like mystery type murder movies, but they're fictitious, and Mina's like, I have no interest in this. Like she wants the real true crime. So you think, Armand, that it's
You have a theory on this that was very well thought out, I thought.
So, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've been asking a lot of women why they watch this stuff.
good. Market research.
Yeah, occasionally. So I think the whole thing is really fascinating. First of all, it's just funny. It's like they're so terrified. I'll start with my judgments about it, right? And then kind of like where I landed. They're so terrified of it. You walk in the house and they're like, oh my God, it's a fucking killer. It puts them on edge. Like there's nothing good about it from a mental, psychological perspective. It doesn't make them feel more calm. It's not meditative. There's nothing like that. It gives them nightmares.
Nightmares.
Like all these nightmares and worries, and then like everything else becomes a worry. It's like, what was that sound? Oh my God, it could be like this or that. And it's like, no, it's because you just watched that fucking true crime crazy shit. And then in my brain, I'm like, that's what's causing this. Why are you doing this? You're making it worse. And I started talking to women about this, and a lot of the answers I got, you could tell that they had not thought deeply about it. It was just like a typical answer of like, I don't know, it's entertaining, or I don't know, like I don't know, like I just don't know.
Why?
Yeah, and I kept going, nah, but there's something deeper here. But why? But why? But why? And I met this girl who was really self-aware, and you could tell she thought about it. I wish I could remember who this was. It was very recently, like a week ago, and she was like, "Oh, you don't understand?" I was like, "No, I don't." She was like, "Listen, the difference between men and women is that as a woman, I must understand all the possibilities of ways at which I am vulnerable and at risk in the world. The more information and exposure I have to the ways in which I can get hurt or get into any situation where I could get hurt in any way, killed, murdered, raped, whatever it is, I will be more aware and have the tools available to me and the awareness available to me to be able to deal with that situation appropriately." And I was like, oh, so this is about hedging against your naivety, like if it exists at all. And she was like, absolutely. I have to make sure that I'm aware at all times of what is possible. So I have to expose myself to it. And it sucks, but I just have to expose myself to it. I was like, fuck, that's good. That's interesting.
I'm on the same train. I think it's like a mix of a search for understanding and like the survival mechanism. Like, you know, why do these things happen to innocent people? Also, how could I possibly die, and how do I avoid it? I think it's like a mixture of it, which is like this perfect level of addiction.
Yeah, and she was like, look, like you don't need to worry or be aware because you have the strength of a male and
Beard
there's
of a champion.
and there's less fear running through you. So your position is, I'll deal with it if it happens.
I think those things are true, and I think this thing that I'm about to say can also be true simultaneously. And I'm making a connection here. Women also like to judge. Okay, like why do they watch The Bachelor? Because they want to watch all these women fight and fawn, and then be like, oh, that bitch, that bitch. So when they look at true crime, they're looking at these people in the true crime, and they'll be like, well, I would never do that. Like,
Huh. Interesting.
Really?
I hadn't thought about that.
Okay, you got stabbed.
yeah, you
bitch.
moron. Like,
Really? I've never thought about that.
I think so.
That's a spicy take.
Oh, God. I wonder what Stephanie thinks.
Is there a male equivalent of true crime? Like, what is our true
Sports.
crime? But it's like sports isn't like us glorifying something horrible that could happen.
No,
to
no, no.
us,
I just
right?
mean because
No.
it's the entertainment
I think like
factor.
maybe like superhero movies. Like we want to.
But what's weird about the female true crime thing is you're getting entertained about this outcome that is like terrible for you, but for some reason you find it entertaining. Like
No, there's nothing like that for men. Yeah.
there was like a show on CNBC a while back that I used to watch with my buddy, and we kind of like got a kick out of it. And it was about all these like super rich people like getting a ton of money and then losing it all. And like I guess that's kind of like the it's like, why would you want to indulge in
Yeah.
such a horrible thing?
Right,
Like,
'cause then you
but I
die
found it
again.
entertaining. And to Eric's point, I was kind of like, you dumb bitch.
Yeah, the obsession with money, for sure.
I don't
I
know.
can see that.
But I want there's probably a better male true crime equivalent. If anybody has one, I want to hear it.
Okay, well, that feels resolved.
Hit us.
All right, so Zuck originally was the one he fucking just showed up into this metaverse and was like, "I'm gonna take the name. I'm gonna set the vision. And like this thing is mine." He just like took full ownership of the metaverse, right? And then even acquired, this has moved his company name from Facebook to Meta to just even survive and evolve. So the kind of question here is this metaverse or the metaverses that others have even described a real thing at all in the first place?
I kind of feel like we're already there. Like you think, look like a Zoom meeting. Zoom meeting feels like the metaverse to me. That's like this digitally, displayed room that we're in which we're talking. It just looks photorealistic right now. And people are already starting with backgrounds, but I think that we're kind of already in it. I mean, you think about the four of us, we interact just as much digitally as we do in person, whether it's text, Zoom, Discord, whatever it may be.
Is Discord the metaverse?
I don't get the whole thing.
So
to be honest.
what makes the
I don't get
metaverse
it.
different from what we were experiencing
What
today?
is metaverse?
Like why did Zuck have to call his thing Meta? What is that different from like doing like a Facebook Meet or a Google Meet or a Zoom chat? Like why is he going all in on this thing?
He thinks it's a new compute platform, like desktop to phone to VR AR. And so, I think he's specifically focused on
like a new hardware. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
new
to be
hardware.
specific, like I think when most people are thinking about metaverse, they're thinking about VR, AR. They're thinking about like this future world where like we go inward into the software and there's a universe that exists and it's everywhere and it's ever present all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's completely digital, virtual reality, augmented reality.
I do think
everywhere.
we're falling in a common trap with technology as it like slowly improves over time in regards to VR, and then it hits this J curve, and you're like, oh my god, I need this thing. Like I can't live without it. Like just a few years ago, we thought Ethereum was too slow and too expensive to ever use. Fast forward a few years later, that's no longer an issue, and it'll continue to get better, and we feel confident in that because we've hit this point of like I can actually see it. But the people working on it, I think they can probably see it a little clearer than we can.
Yeah.
And I do think and eventually it will become lighter to use. The hardware will become cheaper. The software will become faster. And yeah, there will be a melding.
Like a Ready Player One.
Potentially. I mean, maybe instead of maybe we do the podcast in VR and it feels like we're in person, but we're actually remote.
So we have the phone on us at all times. Like you're imagining now a piece of hardware on top of our eyes where we're like fully immersed. I could actually see it. It's like it's harder to see because like it's just cumbersome. But like if that thing provides enough value, there's no question I'd be in it. If I could like be on the field at the World Cup in my VR, like watching the game today, like I would for sure be there.
Absolutely.
It's too clunky. It's like we've got the original cell phone with like a wire that the stockbroker is driving around with in his car that's like huge, and then we're like, yeah, this is gonna be like Zoom meetings someday. Be like, what? Like you can't even conceive of all the iterations that take you to that. That's
True.
probably like where we are with that big stupid thing on your like. I don't know. In the future, there's probably VR stuff. It's just like glasses you put on, and like I can imagine doing a lot of stuff that we do in like a virtual setting. Like I could imagine like you've got these glasses you put on your face, and then you're there, and like maybe there's some device like that in your room. Maybe it like scans your face in real time, and it just renders you like your exact face there as you are, not like literally recording you, but it can like parse out the movements of your face and like render that. So it looks like I'm looking at you and you're moving and stuff and you're basically there. And maybe we're watching the World Cup. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe like we step into the metaverse with our buddies and we sit in the stadium and we can all see each other and we're looking at that. Maybe we do that. Like, that would be cool.
Two things. I think what this current version of the metaverse, especially the Zuck version, gets wrong is that I think it over optimizes for an alternate reality that is not in this reality, as a virtual reality. I think the best example of what I think the future might look like is in the movie Her. In the movie Her, it's more of an augmented reality. It's a layer, it's an overlay on top of the physical reality that exists. You already see these movements. We're going to talk about one of them with this carnivore Aurelius topic we have coming up. You already see these movements of, especially in the new generation. You would think this new generation is like, I want digital all the time, 24/7. But they're hearing our concerns and it's dripping down the kind of like to their generation going like, oh, fuck, I need to touch grass. I need to be part of physical reality. But I think what they want is they want technology. So I think I see an integration of technology with our physical present reality. I don't really see this like Zuck version. The other aspect of it is I don't think Zuck is the guy. I know this is like specific on Meta, but like, look, Mark Zuckerberg was the guy that innovated a technology that was pioneering for his time when he was 18 years old. The guy is our age now. He's not in a position to think creatively about a pioneering world that can exist in the future. The person that's going to create the real metaverse that we'll all live in is today 13 years old.
Zuck might be too rich too. He might be too rich to be
Precisely.
to understand
all
what
of
people
those
want,
factors.
You know, like
Yes, for sure.
I'll cross the Rubicon when I have my $90 NBA subscription. I throw on my headset. They mail me the stadium popcorn, my bobblehead doll for the month, and I strap that thing on, and I'm on the floor seats at the Lakers game.
chirping LeBron, and he can hear it. He can hear my chirping.
Yeah, but that's when I'll cross the Rubicon.
I do think that what Steven said is probably right. Where like you guys use the Lensa app recently.
Oh, yeah.
Where like it scans your face and makes you like a 20% more beautiful version of you. I feel like that avatar version of yourself, but it is still a version of yourself, plays a role in this metaverse that we're describing.
Maybe with a bigger jaw,
Yeah.
finer beard.
Yeah, like the idea that we're going to be these clunky, like poorly rendered, like avatars, just like going shopping or something. I don't like in a fake world.
Speaking of Avatar, it comes out tomorrow, I think. Avatar 2?
Nice.
That's big.
God, Avatar 1 came out so
13 years ago.
That movie was so good.
long.
So good. I wonder if this one will be as good. Okay, I think that's definitely not the next topic.
No.
Well, you got another one.
No, it's Nick. Nick with the old. I
No,
do.
It says Armand on my sheet.
Hi, I can't read.
This
So-
this is a 6-minute topic. All right.
Yeah, we can
This
try.
is one of the
Whose idea was
leftovers
this?
from the year that we never got to touch.
Yeah, so this is absolutely worthy of its own full episode. Of course, this could be many episodes, and I think it would be very, very good. But the basic prompt, I'll keep it simple. Do we have free will? That is the basic prompt.
Yeah.
Do human beings have free will?
And like the opposite of that is called what? Determinism? Is that right? Like obviously I have free will. I can spit on the ground right now if I choose to. So in that sense I have free will. But determinism suggests that like there's something in my past that has led me to decide to spit on the ground. Is that
Yes.
Is that the,
Yeah,
the
like it was
interpretation?
the cards were already there that you were going to spit on the ground.
And if you
right?
trace that back, they were there from the beginning.
Yeah, and you're like, no, I just thought about that, and it was like, yeah, well, you thought about that was it was already programmed that you were going to say that you were going to spit on the ground. When I said like that doesn't prove anything, you were also going to like have a retort. That,
Man, that sounds a
all
lot
predetermined.
more like spurious correlation than causality to me. You know, like to really say that something when I was 6 years old caused me to spit on the ground today, like that, it sounds pretty spurious to me.
Because what you were explaining is that free will could almost feel like it's made up. Because if it's like free will is this weighted average calculation of your DNA plus your environment, you could think you have free will, but maybe you don't, right?
it's tricky to argue against free will. I think.
Well,
it really is.
if you can decide to change your
or
environment,
for free will rather,
It's trickier to argue for it.
trickier to argue for it. I agree.
Arguing for free will requires ultimately, well, to take a half step, I think it ultimately requires a leap of faith. I think it's the most important and interesting question about the philosophical nature of reality. And it's funny because like all physics, all philosophy, all cosmology, even because what is really happening in the pursuit of like even a cosmologist, even a physicist, like they ultimately land in this like very similar place where they have to ask themselves like, are the actions that are occurring in the universe brought forth through this like mechanism of free will, this universal conscious energy that is determining where it wants to go, or is it going there anyway? And every single one lands in the same place. I just think it's so fascinating because they obviously do not have answers, and every single one has to formulate at the end of the day an opinion. And I think that opinion is a very spiritual opinion. I think that a lot of people like a Sam Harris, for example, like to argue that this is based in facts, but by and large,
He's a non-free will guy, right?
right.
That's
Right.
very Sam Harris.
By and large, yeah, it is, and like a Richard Dawkins as well. It's like their life's pursuit is to be as they're very fundamentalist.
It's a primarily like non-religious position, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't more religious people believe in free will? Isn't that like an inherent part of
no
most religion?
No, both, because many religious people believe in determinism. Yeah, because they're like, I don't have choice here.
But I think it's an element of like Catholicism or Christianity that you do have free will.
For most, it's the other way around. I would say.
can I ask you guys a question
it's
that
the other way.
like something that stood out
I'm
to
just
me
telling
when
you
we
what
were
the Bible says.
when we were on mushrooms in the desert? We listened to Alan Watts. Remember that? And Alan Watts says, at times, if you breathe in deep and hold, you're breathing. But at other times, breathing is happening to you. Like, can like free will and determinism sort of have a Venn diagram, or like can they coexist in a way where it's like at times you have free will, at other times life is just happening to you in a deterministic fashion?
I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. Yeah, I think that's amazing because, yeah, both things can be true. Both things
they
can
be
be
true?
true.
But it is more palatable to me to
It's like an
to
easier-
take in that
it's
version.
an easier way to
than-
move on in 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, if you look at many other things that exist in the universe, they're within them at the core, there is a paradox, right? And this could be one example of that. Like the paradox of existence itself could be that it's happening to you and you are doing it at the same time. The universe is expanding and creating and seeking, and at the same time, it is just happening. And that could absolutely be the case. And again, this is where a lot of like quantum theory spends its time, right? It's like, how can these things be true? How can like, this is too short of a time, but like, I dropped a video in our Life channel one time of, what is his name? Leonard Susskind, I believe. He was breaking down like quantum theory at the level of like a black hole and describing free will, describing like what really is happening and why do these two things not work at the same time. Like what happens in the universe is completely different than what happens at like the base of a black hole. How can that be? How can we have two different sets of physics and reality occurring at the same time? Again, another paradox. So I think it's wild shit.
And it feels like there's like I don't know if it's a feeling thing, but it seems like there's an element of randomness actually programmed into quantum theory, which I think is like kind of one of the better cases for like if there can be provable sort of like randomness at like the most base particular level, like maybe that extends elsewhere. So that's kind of where I hang my.
I guess, what do you want
hat.
to be the answer?
I of course want free will to be the answer. If if there is no free will, then like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a bad person. It doesn't matter if you go outside and punch that old lady in the face because like you never had a choice. Like you were just programmed to always do that.
I'll be king anyways.
Yeah, and like I just feel like it's kind of like I'm sure that the Sam Harrises of the world have like a good retort to this for me, and I haven't thought like insanely deeply about it. Like I'm sure some of them have, but it feels very icky, and I understand why most people who have free will like sort of believe in a higher power because like the alternative of that is like, yeah, I do feel like you're just Sam Harris. You're like, this is all programmed. We are all just atoms and collections of carbon and whatever. It feels kind of gross.
I propose a full episode on this. And,
Yes.
and to bring
We'll call that a trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, from highbrow to lowbrow, really quickly here.
Wow, this is quite the
It's
pivot.
kind of fast pivots.
Yeah, it is. So this topic came up in the Discord. I don't know where it initiated, but it was about sex robots. And you know, the adult industry, if known for anything, is known for adopting technology really quickly. It adopted like technology with payment processing, VR, AR. They might be the first ones to be like, okay, robot plus AI, your sex robot.
Still not using crypto though. God damn it.
Yeah. So the question is, let's fast forward. If you have some play with a sex robot, is it cheating?
What kind of sex robot? Like how sophisticated
Full
is
blown
this sex robot?
I mean,
do we go to this like the most extreme case?
Yeah,
like
go
it's
there.
just
Who's
looks
asking?
exactly like
your girlfriend? Yeah, anything's cheap.
he's just getting ready. For this.
and there's your
Who's
answer.
asking?
Nice
you know?
call.
So it looks exactly like a real man or
Let's
woman.
call it within like
Yeah.
like within 5 to 10%.
It's pretty. It's
Let's
pretty
be
spot
honest, I can
on.
have
There.
better conversation with ChatGPT than my wife.
Yeah, that was Eric's last episode.
She doesn't listen. We're cool.
Okay, so yeah, let's just go to the most extreme one. Like Armand, is that cheating?
Oh man, I mean, it depends who's asking. Objectively, and then again, like based on what rules, who's made these rules. I don't know. I'm complicating this.
You are complicating this.
I complicate most things like that, but it depends.
It's cheating
it does
to you.
depend. Is it cheating to me?
But should we just do the what if your wife
Oh, now we're talking.
Okay, let me start.
gets it on
Let
with
me-
a super realistic?
Armand's like, can I,
could see
join?
a world. I could see. Jesus Christ! I could see a world where this could serve as like an outlet for people that is outside the realm of cheating that could actually become very healthy.
You know what they'll call that in the future? Sex equality.
Okay,
They'll be like, well,
I like
some
that.
people can't have sex because they're,
Yeah.
don't have I don't know, the mating capabilities, Stephanie Daly capabilities of like finding a mate.
But we're assuming
this
you
provides
do
equality.
have a mate.
Yeah.
I don't want a moral judgment
All
on
right.
sex
So
robots. So then
assuming
we should do an
everything's
episode on that
fine,
as
but
well.
like, let's say you're in a situation where you want to explore and you've talked to your partner about this and you agree.
So first of all, let me just say,
Everything's okay if you have consensual agreement. Don't cop out.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you don't have an emotional connection with a robot. It's a robot. So if you have sex with a robot, it's
I don't
akin
know,
to
did you
well,
see-
men don't have emotional connection most times.
so
they
it's
have
akin
sex
to
anyway,
masturbating.
so-
Is masturbating cheating? No. But like I will say this, and this is a little hotter take. I think like if Mina were to have sex with a robot, fine. That's like a vibrator. I encourage that. But I think that I would be more. I'd have a harder time if she was like emotionally cheating with some dude via texty text. You know, like that's like an emotional version of cheating that I say.
Okay,
use the
let me make
vibrator.
this harder. Like if the robot was like Chat GPT, but times 10 and was like something you could fall in love with, like in the movie Her.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said let's go to the most extreme instance.
Okay.
It's cheating.
then
it is,
that
right?
then there's no difference between that and a human at that point anyway, because that is what it's becoming.
This just sounds like that South Park episode where they're like eating the animals and then they decide they can't eat the dolphin because it's like too smart. But then it's like a mentally challenged dolphin and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like so there's an element like so the hyper realistic robot's fine, but like once it gets a certain amount of dumb, then it's not.
Yeah, if it's
That
just
is-
a thing that vibrates,
just
but
like
if it also talks and touches and
I think it's
feels,
cheating via there's feelings. If you don't have feelings for the robot and it's just like just physical, then that's not cheating.
Whoa! But
No.
that would like mean you could get it on with like a prostitute or something.
yeah,
That wouldn't be cheating.
Yeah, you could qualify most male cheating as
Well, I
that.
have I got a wide gray area there.
I think in your most extreme version, you're literally talking about the most like a human that you desire more than anything, actually, because the robot's going to be perfect in every way. It's going to say exactly what you want it to say to you. It's going to be amazing.
you can cook food afterwards.
Yeah, it'll do everything. So, like, yeah, like if cheating is still something we even consider morally bad at that point, then yes, it's
Oh
still
yeah,
cheating.
there won't even be a.
I
there
don't
won't
think
be
it's
a
even gonna be-
figment of cheating. It'll just be everyone fucks their robot and then
Yeah.
deposits semen into a repository.
Yeah. I mean, I think between me and my girlfriend, this is cheating, and also I think the right answer for society is that it's cheating because I think in the extreme case, this would create pretty severe bouts of isolation. Like you could see, like think about all the whole incel community as it is now is pretty isolated. Imagine they, can go the whole sex robot version, and you create even more isolation. That can't be an optimal answer for the survival
I feel like
of species.
if the robot itself arouses you, it's cheating. Like no matter how dumb it is, like
It's
like
kink
once
shaming,
you're at
bro.
that point, you're just. What? No,
Hold
stop.
on. If like a Twitter, if a girl on Instagram arouses me, that's cheating. They just come across my feed.
No, if you have to have sex with them. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's no way to have sex
So
with a girl on your Twitter feed.
non-arousal sex is not cheating?
I think we're getting caught in semantics on the word arousal.
I feel like
How
we need
do
to
I
I feel
have
like we need to do an hour on this
non-arousal
topic. now.
sex?
I feel like we're bringing up too many good points.
All right. Well, here's a new topic for you. This is a hard pivot.
This is basically open questions
Yeah,
at the end
open
of this
questions.
episode.
Let's bring it back to money. We had a money segment, but let's talk money again. So FTX just went down, but Binance is sort of in the crosshairs now. The last remaining centralized exchange. They just went through an audit process. We learned many things about Binance, but a lot of things are unanswered. Do you guys buy or sell Binance here? You guys believe in the platform? How about the token?
Selling both. Like in my mind, guilty till proven innocent. Especially these non-US exchanges. Coinbase is the only one that passes my sniff test, based upon what they've proven, the fact that they're a US based and publicly traded company.
The audit is more stringent.
Absolutely. And then also, why take the asymmetric risk of like losing everything for what? Like services that you can get elsewhere?
A lot of
As
good
far-
pairs on there. A lot of good pairs on there.
Okay, so that's what you're missing out on. But maybe you should be trading those pairs in the first place right now. But yeah, I think the policy is guilty till proven innocent.
Steven, did you see the proof of reserves, like the Merkle tree that they submitted and like the audit process?
People didn't like the audit. It was.
Talking about the Mazars audit too.
I feel like it did
Mazars
more. Yeah, it did. I don't know. It probably did like more harm than good, to be honest.
Because it had this one disclaimer, not providing assurances
Right.
to some effect. It was
Yeah,
stated
there's all
on the.
sorts of weird stuff. Like
And
they're
there was-
saying BTCB is Bitcoin, which is not
The
true.
whole audit was an agreed upon thing to be within the rules and guidelines that Binance had stipulated at the outset. It wasn't like an unbiased view. It was like, hey, audit this part of our business that we decide that you should look at.
Yeah. I mean, what Nick's saying is correct. Like, there's no, if you have money on there at this point, you're being very silly. Use this. This is what leverage is for. You keep like 100 grand or whatever you have on chain, and then you can use like 5 on the exchange, and you can lever up and get the same exposure, and you have the collateral there, and you don't have to keep all that money on the exchange, right?
Would you apply that to any exchange at this point? Or are you saying that just about Binance?
I think any exchange, even Coinbase, freaks me out. I mean, it's fine, but like their paper is trading at like an absurd interest rate, and it's kind of weird. And like if something happens, like they could be insolvent, and like maybe all your money's not gone, but like the money you have on there, according to U.S. law, isn't really your money, right? That all just goes to a bankruptcy thing, and like it's just not a good situation.
I'm down on those bonds already. I bought them at like 56 cents on the dollar. I'm already down.
they're down more.
They're already down more.
Oh my god!
But walk me through why the bonds being so underwater could link to insolvency. It's the market's interpretation of their business, right? It doesn't necessarily.
The market doesn't seem to think they can like pay back the debt with a high probability. Why can't a company pay back its debt? Well, it has issues with cash flow. Ultimately, companies that have issues with cash flow, if they can't resolve that, become bankrupt at a particular point.
Yeah, but
right?
those deposits are separate.
Okay,
No, they're
two
not.
things.
That's the thing. They're not. Like
What?
Yeah, like
No.
this is yeah.
No,
this
they
is-
are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No.
They are a separate for Coinbase. They
No,
are a separate bucket of operating expenses.
Coinbase had a specific thing on Twitter, didn't they? Where there's a whole spat where people are like, why are my assets on here? Like, why is this bankruptcy law? And then I think they came out and said, this is just like a standard thing. I think this happens if you have your money at a bank too, to be honest. Like, I think if you have your money at a bank, like that's not like, and they go through bankruptcy, you don't just get 100% of your money back.
But you do
even
if they're
have
if they're
enough.
FDIC insured, then you get that.
Yeah, I mean
insurance
that,
coverage.
that's a good
Insurance,
disclaimer.
which is a different
Coinbase is not
thing.
FDIC insured.
which it's not, and like people should
So-
DYOR on this, but I'm pretty sure like actually when you have your money at a bank or at Coinbase especially, like it's not like your money in a vault at a safety deposit box that you can just take or entitled to it. It becomes like a claim that people have
So
against
two
it.
things I want to say. One is regarding Binance. It was like, Eric Weinstein talked about this when he was talking about the Twitter files. He's like, if all these things are nothing burgers, then just show us all the nothing burgers and then we'll decide. And with Binance, it's like, why did you choose to audit this one portion of your business that you elected to be audited, but like you leave the remainder unaudited? Show us all the nothing burgers and we'll decide. That's step one. Step two for me is like the BNB token itself has very little to do with the exchange. This thing's valued at like 55 billion fully diluted, maybe like 45 billion market cap. I've even read some stuff where it says that like that's overstated because so many of these tokens are like owned by Binance, locked up, will never be sold. So maybe you take the market cap down to 25 billion. But even then, it's like that token has nothing to do with the exchange really. We're talking about Binance Smart Chain. It gets like 10% of the fees off Binance Smart Chain, which is sparsely used. Everyone's using the centralized exchange. So I think I would be willing to sell BNB coin. But, before I get there, there's so many shittier vaporware that have nothing to do with anything that I'd be willing to short first. So I'm not actually physically shorting BNB.
I think greater than 50%.
You guys are in trade-or mode. I think the question was like Binance bullish or bearish on the exchange. I think what that comes
like,
down
are we
to.
bearish as in is it going bankrupt?
Yeah. Okay.
Is it gone? Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just
No. Well, okay. I was going to
sorry.
talk about
No.
No. I think
Say your piece, sir.
I was just going to say, I think that as an exchange in general, all of them have, after the FTX situation, like the lack of transparency and the fact that we're still uncovering more things on a daily basis proves to me that like from a crypto user perspective of like using exchanges at all, we're using them the wrong way. They should be used to buy, to sell. They should not be used to store your coins.
But just so we're clear, if Binance, the exchange, the centralized exchange, is fraudulent, if that goes under, they do 5 times more revenue than Coinbase.
Right.
So if they go down, like it's like largely over.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
it's like a salute. There might not be coming.
Yeah,
back.
I mean, I don't know what's left after that. I think you go back to like just like basic
Pure
Bitcoin and
crypto.
Ethereum,
Pure
like
crypto,
in the purest
self-sovereign,
sense.
like-
The
Yeah.
optimistic scenario is it burns the forest, everything goes to hell. People are like, oh my God, it's dead. But then we move to this world where like we just use on-chain stuff, and then we have these very limited fiat on-ramps that just transport your money on-chain and off-chain. And like you could make the case that maybe that actually is a great future if we can get through it and we can burn it all down in the meantime. I don't know if that's the case, but that's
Yeah,
like
and what
the
is an example of that?
optimistic
Would that
case.
be like what do you call like a moon pay? Like would
Yeah,
that
like
be
something like
that?
MoonPay, like the old
Yeah.
Dharma wallet. You could
Yeah,
just, and it
Dharma.
was just in.
I like
on-chain
that.
and
I
it
like
was
that
kinda-
model. Does everything need to burn down for this to happen the right way?
I don't think
know.
you get
I don't like
mainstream
it.
adoption.
We need
Go
better
into that.
self custody stuff first. But then it like if like the user it looks exactly like an exchange app looks, and they don't have to know they're on chain. It's fine. We could get there maybe. Anyway, be
All right.
safe out there. No funds on Binance.
It's bad.
FUD.
Who's got the last one?
Oh, am I the last one?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's right. Got some notes here. So Armand is a big fan of Carnivore Aurelius.
Yeah, he's the hugest.
Hugest fan.
I agree very strongly with like 65% of what he says. The other 35% is absolute hogwash.
Real bits of Panther in there. 60% of the time works every time.
But seriously, like 65, 70% of the time, this guy is spitting truth.
Well, he's a huge fan of
The Alfalfa Pod?
Unfortunately, no. He's a huge fan of taint tanning. Really hates casual sex. I noticed. He's
This
he's
is
on
a hot
big,
topic for him.
Anti-casual sex crusade. I know. I had my thing up on the phone so I could read it exactly.
I actually don't know how to feel about this one, so I'm excited
then
to
it,
explore this.
Yeah, I wanted to read like a couple
I was a
of his
big casual
memes
sex guy. Not gonna lie.
verbatim.
I'm a massive fan.
Massive fan.
I mean, it is pretty good. Like,
Well, I also think it's important for personal development. I think it's important for a lot of reasons. to be
Yeah.
honest.
Is casual sex good?
I think
yes.
for a lot of reasons. Like one, to be in a relationship with somebody, I think you want to have mutual respect, and where that really stems from is the ability for both parties to like move on successfully. And so you don't choose to be together out of need. You choose to be together because you love each other and you're better together.
okay.
So does casual sex prepare you for that moment? Is what you're saying?
Like absolutely. Like you're not going to
How?
know that you can move on successfully without like living a world like that.
You're not
Prior.
going to know that you can settle and be with somebody and not need sex for that purpose. Like,
No. I'm
I'm
just
not
saying that
following.
you're not going to have the confidence to move on successfully if you've never done it before. If you've never like gone and got chicks, then you're going to be like, oh my God, I need this one relationship.
You need to graduate from that phase in your life in order to be ready for the next one.
would you apply this same thinking to women?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like you kind of have to get out of your simp phase, which you start at age 13. You move on to like an adult phase where you're like, okay, hold on. Instead of just simping for this one person, I'm choosing this person because we align on so many deeper values. And it's not like I'm just wanting her because she wants my dick. She's the only girl.
I don't
Well,
know.
I don't know if I'm
I'm
following
thinking about
that.
this whole thing in a
But there
different way, I
there is
guess.
this thing where like I think it's in Mormon cultures, right? Like
Soaking?
yes, they make up things and then they almost. I mean, my reason is that they get married at a young age because they just want to have sex because it's like denied from them from the beginning, and so they end up getting married at like 19, 20. You know, not ready for the real world and the real challenges of what it means to be married for someone for the rest of their lives. And it does more harm than good to be without it. It's one of the greatest pleasures of going through like adolescence and a young adulthood.
I kind of agree with Carnivore, to be honest.
Okay.
I saw this coming. I'm excited for this.
I think he's right. I don't know that all the casual. It doesn't look like it's like a net positive for humanity for me. When I look at it, it's like, oh,
I don't think we've done a good
obviously-
job describing his take. So like he's not just saying no casual sex, right? Do you happen to have that in front of you?
No, he is saying like,
I know, but he describes like what is on the other side to aspire to.
Yeah.
That we have not mentioned. Like what is it that he's saying is so great about the opposite of casual sex?
Right. Like, so while Steven's looking it up, he mentions like build a family, like start like a, you know, get
7 children.
get property, get
Yeah.
children, grow something meaningful. I completely agree with all that.
and leave a legacy.
But I also don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive. Like you can have casual sex and do that. Like I would imagine that you've had casual sex before and you're about to have a child. Like are you?
You can do both.
Are
and
you
he's
ruined
arguing
like forever? Like
I don't know.
It's not about ruining you forever, but
Yeah,
like,
it's-
I don't know. I actually saw Elon talking about this somewhere. He's
Yeah,
just
he
like,
did. It's
he's just
in
like,
one of his
what is
posts.
he's like, what is this like sex thing? He's like, we're all just like lab rats running around, like just tickling our limbic system. It's like the purpose of this is like procreation, but like we're just like, who, you know, it's all the time like who, and he's like, how much like human thought has been just wasted thinking about like casual sex, and like when he framed it that way, I was like, a lot. Like a lot of my own existence.
For
and like,
men in particular,
Yeah.
most of our energy, if it's chapter 13 of Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
it's like all of your energy goes toward
Sex
casual
transmutation.
sex. Yes. And if you can transmute that energy that you already are, that you were putting toward like getting laid, putting toward visualizing your success and conscientiousness of and pursuit of like your goals, you can be much more happy and successful.
bingo. I'm just calling that the end game, not the whole game.
I don't think we're describing carnivores' take accurately though, because like, yes, I agree with you. You can have both. It's like you can
Well, his
have
take
casual
isn't to
sex
have
for a
both.
while.
His take is
that's
no
that's
good.
what I'm trying to
Yeah.
explain. Like you can. It's not about like you could start there with like casual sex and then still have like happy family and all that shit. I think what he's saying is like, the right way to achieve that same outcome is instead of being out at the bar at like 2 a.m. trying to get laid and putting all your energy toward that, like go do it in a more conscious way. Go about the pursuit of like meeting the love of your life in the right way. Don't do it by like being, you know, just like trying to get laid
so
all the
meet
time.
the love of
and
your
then-
life and as a virgin, like
No, he's
like
not
Carnivore
saying-
Aurelius is saying to do
No,
that.
no, he's not saying. I don't think he's
'Cause I can
saying
tell you
don't
that's
have
not a good
sex.
idea.
No, he's not saying. I hope he doesn't become like an incel god. We're gonna have to give it up pretty quick if that. He's not saying that. He's just saying casual sex, fucking for the sake of fucking, being a fuck boy. That idea of just like one of the memes is like, you go out and you tell your friends about who you know had sex with this weekend and how many you had sex with this weekend. He's like, that's shitty. That's low class. That's low quality. That's not what life should be about. It should be about
agree.
like pursuit of like quality relationships. And look, I'm not somebody who really did. I mean, I don't know. I did both. Like I love love. Like I loved falling in love. Like my dating was like constantly like falling in love, but also being a highly sexual person and wanting to have sex. It was there and I wanted it. So it's like both for me. So I don't know how to feel about this whole carnivore take. It's a hard one.
Yeah, I think he's right. I mean, he's like you said. I don't think he's talking about premarital thing. I don't think he's making like that like extreme like state to get. But like I think he's talking about it like outside the context of like real relationships. And yeah, I think he's right. I do think it, objectively speaking, like harms your ability to be with people. Generally speaking, I do think it is like a mass misallocation of just like human resources, right? Like if you just think of all the brain power of humanity, and it is just so wasted going there. Like if it could just be redirected in a slightly different way, like would we really be like worse off as a species if like everybody wasn't doing this? Like I don't know how much aggregate happiness has like really been produced by it in my own life. When I look around at other people who do it, they don't really seem that happy. Even the ones who are bragging about it are often just like you're dead inside, man.
And it easily becomes an addiction.
Yes, that's the other thing. It is just like a drug. It's like, oh, it's good. It makes you feel good. But like,
especially as a man, like knowing that you got laid and she was hot and like.
So what do you even call failed relationships then, Stephen? Let's like, that did not progress humanity. That did not result in children. Like these are just false starts. You could argue that Armand's like mini loves are equivalent.
No, well, I would argue that like if you are going into a relationship with the intention of getting there, and that's like your end goal, that's what you're doing. If that doesn't work out, that's okay. Like it's like an intentions thing. But like 99% of all the stuff that's happening, like people don't even have that intention. Like everybody's like,
Yeah.
this is like nobody's thinking about that.
That's what I think carnivore really is trying to describe. That right there.
Yeah, it's not
like,
outcome
What is your
dependent, it's
intention? Are
yeah.
you just trying to get laid, or are you actually seeking that life that many of us here have created? Right. So it's like there's a right way he's arguing to approach that ideal future, which I don't know. I think there is a phase in life.
I agree with him. I like end game. I agree with him.
That's what I was trying to get. Yeah. So that's why I think this is an interesting conversation, is like, if you really look at what he was saying in the most accurate lens, like it's actually pretty interesting. But me at 22 would be like, you're fucking dull, bro.
I'll tell any
Like,
22-year-old it helps to get a couple reps under your belt. Like regardless
agree.
of what carnivore.
better
whatever it
than
says,
being like sitting on the sidelines for
or
sure.
like the first time you get in there, like
Yeah. Yeah. Is that the sound of like the 40-year-old
yeah, you
virgin?
gotta just jizz like
Yeah.
for a second. You gotta be ready, boys.
Yeah, things move quick. All right. Nick, you got any jizz comments? Jesus. All right, that was
cool.
great.
On
I don't
that
know what
note-
the hell that was, but
We did
you know,
good.
it is what it
We
is.
did good. 7 minutes per topic.
Yeah, carnivore went a little longer.
It was
but
the exact opposite of last episode.
yeah,
Curious-
it was very, very
curious
different.
if people enjoyed that.
Yeah, let us know, and we'll see you in the Discord. Links are below. Much love. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.